Hello, my name is Raven, and welcome to my Company of Heroes World Builder Basics tutorial. Alright, in this tutorial, we're going to create a really simple 1v1 map to use for multiplayer, whatever, and you'll learn the basics to what you need to make a map. Alright, first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to create our map, so go to File, New Multiplayer Map. I'm already in the folder I want to be, which is Tutorials. I'm going to call it Basic Tutorial, and you guys can call this anything you like. Hit Open, wait a little bit for the menu to pop up. Alright, so blank terrain, we have three options: terrain size, playable area, and cell size. Don't worry about cell size. I'll cover that in a later tutorial. Terrain size is the total size of your, map, and playable area is the total size in the area in which you can build and move troops to. Generally, as in most Company of Heroes maps, the playable area is a little bit smaller than the terrain size. So, you have like background objects, scenery. Alright, so I'm going to set my terrain size 352 by 352. And my playable area will be 288 by 288. And I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And then we're just going to wait for this to generate. And I'm going to go ahead and pause it while it generates. Alright, it's done generating. So I'm going to scroll up here. Now here's our world. Alright, before we get into making our world, let's cover some few basics on movement. If you've ever played Company of Heroes, you know most of them. Arrow keys, move the camera. Holding down middle mouse button will allow you to also move the camera around. And using the middle mouse button to scroll, you can go up and down or zoom in and out. Holding Alt will allow you to rotate the camera. And hitting backspace twice will reset the camera back to its default position. Alright, so with those covered, the first thing I generally do whenever I make a new map is I go to Overlay and toggle Show Playable Area. So now everything inside this red box I can see, that is where we'll be able to play. As you can see, it's fairly large. Alright, so the next thing we need in order to make a map, actually be able to save a map, we need, other than our strategic points like fuel, munitions, and manpower points, we need a headquarters and a map entry support for off-map troops. Alright, so go up here and select this icon that says Object Placement. Alright, over here you have your Object Placement menu. I'm going to explain a few things and then we'll start placing our HQ. Current, I'm going to go ahead and start with current. Current is obviously whatever object you have selected. We don't have any objects yet, so obviously I can't cover that one, but it allows you to adjust the settings of the current object you have selected. Default means any objects that you place will use any of the settings that are selected in here when they're placed. I generally don't really touch this much, but the option's here if you want to. I use random rotation every once in a while for when I need to place a whole bunch of the same objects and want them to have a random rotation. Okay, so down here, yes, on these side menus, as in the terrain editor, the terrain texture painter, if you hold middle mouse button, you can scroll up and down. Alright, so now let's go ahead and place our HQ and our map entry points. Select EBPS, then go to Gameplay, scroll down, and search for our starting position. Go ahead and select it. Alright, now right click anywhere, and down here you also have a tooltip. Left click on objects to select, or right click to place. Go ahead and right click and place two of them. I'm going to place them one in each corner. Alright, now I'm going to scroll up and find map underscore entry point. I'll place one right there. And one right there. Alright, so now I'm going to select which will be player 2's HQ. Alright, so now as you notice when the object is selected, we have a tooltip down here. Left mouse button plus mouse move to move the object. Shift mouse move to rotate the object. And holding down H and moving the mouse will allow you to adjust the height. I'm going to Control Z to undo that. Oh. Alright, so with our HQ selected over here in current, which you now see is not grayed out, select player assignment, select player 2, and then I'm just going to adjust my HQ a little bit, and I'm also going to do the same thing for my map entry point. Okay, so now as you can see, our map entry point and our HQ is assigned to player 2. Now let's do the same for player number 1. Alright, so now other than strategic points, we have a few things. Sorry, other than our strategic points, we have everything we need for a basic map. Okay, so now let's cover painting the terrain. We'll cover editing the terrain in a little bit, but let's go ahead and cover it. Alright, so up here, you have something that says tile. An icon is the texture tile painter. It allows you to paint terrain. So I'm gonna select a new grass texture, and down here you have a preview. Alright. Say you want to, alright, if you want to, like, say, overdo a texture or change it, just select any texture you want and the layer, which I've already selected, and then just hit assign, and there you go. We've now changed our base texture. I'm gonna go ahead and change it back. Alright, if you want to add a new layer, select this icon right here. Give it this texture. Scroll down a little bit. Just paint a little bit. Alright. So now as you can see, we've learned how to add new textures to our level. Alright, the next thing I'm going to cover is decals or splats. So up here, select this icon. Hold on. It is the splat placement. Same thing with everything else. It has a preview. A lot of these menus are quite similar. We'll cover all of this stuff in a more advanced tutorial, but you can feel free to play around with it for a little bit. It's quite simple. I'm going to select dirt. I'm going to find scroll down a little bit. Create our dirt. I'm going to right click to place it. And there we go. Now we have a decal in our nice little grassy leaf field. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and delete that as well. I'm going to go back to the texture editor. Oh, right. Something I forgot to explain, but would probably have gotten to when I got into the height map editor. And the texture editor, as you notice up here, you have several things. You have brush size, feather, and strength. Strength is pretty obvious. The lower it is, you can create a nice little light effect where they kind of blend. Keep that at 100. Feather is your fall off, and obviously brush size is the size of the brush. Going to just get rid of that real quick. Be careful about deleting a layer. You hit the trash can, you can delete a layer, as you can see. There's no available undo. If you, by accident, I have somehow managed to get rid of my base layer once. It's very bad, don't do that. Alright, so now let's go into the height map editor and let's create a river diagonally down. And then place a bridge. So go to our height map editor. Going to render the grid. I'm also going to turn off update LODs. You can turn this on if you want to, but it's generally slower while you're editing. I generally edit and then select it again to re-update the LODs. Okay, so same as in the texture editor, you have brush size, feather. You have a new one, which is height, which is when you're using set value, it allows you to set the height of the terrain. And you have presets, which are various presets that are useful for, well, just general settings like ankle high water. Oops. And so forth. Deep water, which is set it down to 1. Okay, so I'm gonna, now let's see, we've got a few more things to explain here. Alright, so left mouse mode, you have additive, subtractive, set value, and smoothing. Alright, additive allows you to raise the height of the terrain. Subtractive lowers the height of the terrain. Set value is already explained, uses the height and sets the terrain at that value flat. And smoothing smooths the terrain. I'm going to use set value, and I'm going to use a height of 10. No, sorry, 0, because 10 is the height of the current terrain. So if I had it at 10 right now, it shouldn't move at all. See, it's no changes. Go to 0. As you can see, our terrain is now lowered. Alright, and I'm going to set brush size to 20. I'm going to leave feather at 50. Alright, now I'm just going to go diagonally all the way down and across. I'm just going to move this a little bit. Alright, so now we have where our river is going to be placed. Now all we have to do now is place our water. Go to water placement. Oh, one more thing. You have your precision mode. I'll show you some examples of the difference. This is coarse precision. And this is fine precision. I generally keep it on fine. As you can see, it's a little bit smoother. Alright. So now go back to our water placement. And then just right click anywhere. And as you see, we just placed water. You have update mode. This is when you're moving your, this little blue ring thing. When you're moving it, if you have it on update on release, it means it will only update on release. Or you can set it to update on drag or never update. And then you can manually select it to update. And I'm going to hold H. I'm going to raise it up slightly to meet our shore. There we go. Alright, so now let's change our water. As you can see, it's not the best water in the world. It's kind of just reflecting the sky, and it's like glass. It's just, alright. So now let's go to Scenario, Terrain Properties. Down here where you have Water Reflection, select Normal Map. I'm going to choose, that didn't work. I'll choose Ocean Waves. And if you hit Apply and it doesn't go through, or rather doesn't work, go to Watercolor, I found, and just, add it, and then just remove it and hit Reapply, and there you go. Now we have our water up and working. Cool. Alright, so now let's place a bridge here in the middle. Go back to our object editor. Get out of gameplay. Go to Environment, Art Ambient, Bridges. Going to select Bridge 35. Right click somewhere. I'm going to rotate it. Drag it up a little bit. And I'm just going to get it as level as I can with the ground. Alright, so now we have a bridge. By the way, this bridge is destructible. There are a few in here that aren't. I'm going to drag it down a little bit. Alright, there we go. Okay, so now we have our bridge, and we can cross and we can place multiple ones. Alright, but say we want to have multiple ones, but we don't want to select them and, rotate them and drag the height back up. In order to copy objects, just select the object you want to copy, hold C. There we go. Now we have 3 bridges. Okay. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to place our, well, actually, I'm going to show you a nifty little thing for people that use, well, that are thinking of making a map like in a city or maybe a surrounding little town or something. Go to Buildings, select Holland, Buildings, and I'm going to select Plaster 4x202, and right click, place it anywhere you would like. Alright, so here's our little building. It's sitting near our river. I'm going to rotate a little bit. Alright. Now say you wanted this building destroyed like upon game start. Just go to Edit State. This window will pop up. Hit Add, Building Damage. Double click. Press to edit. Now just move this little blue radius up and around, and as you can see, anything inside the radius is destroyed. You can also up the radius, so I'm going to up it to 15, and then the whole house is entirely gone. I'm going to put it back down to 5. Apply. Let's see. Alright. Now I'm going to place another one. You can place as many as you'd like. I'm going to put this one down to 1. Too small. 2. There we go. Apply, hit OK. There we go. Now we have a partially ruined house right next to our little bridge. Alright. One other nifty little tool is the grass editor, which is fairly self-explanatory. You can adjust the grass height, but we will cover, well, I guess we can cover this right now. Alright, we'll cover grass height in a future tutorial. So you have 2 choices, well 3 technically. You have grass meadow, you have wheat, and you have no grass, which just erases the grass. Alright, so now we have one other thing that I'm going to cover, then we're going to place our fuel points, and then we'll be done. It is the spline tool. Go ahead and select spline placement. Gonna set width to 20. I'm gonna go for 20. Alright. Alright, now let's see here. Let's go to Indian Road. Texture preview. Let's find a good texture here. Let's go up to dirt. I'm just going to select this. This is particularly useful for a road tool. I'm going to right click somewhere and then just keep on right clicking. I go up and around, then hit enter to apply it. There we go. We have a nice little fairly low res dirt road. And then we have a tooltip when we select our spline. Use mouse to move spline. Hold shift while spline to rotate it. And hit spacebar to manipulate the spline. Alright, now we can delete points by hitting delete key, or when we select one of these points, we can use the left mouse button to change them. So I'm going to fix this bridge right here I messed up on. Alright, hit the space, sorry. There we go, enter. Alright, there we go. So now we have our nice little ugly dirt road. Okay. Next tool. You can also paint roads in if you want to. You don't have to use a spline tool if you don't feel like it. Go back to object placement. Go back to gameplay. And let's see here. Fuel point high. I'm going to place 2 right across the river from each other. Manpower point high. I'm going to place these at about the middle. A little bit further away. I'll place it right there. I'll place that one right there. And then last but not least, look for a munitions point. About the same. Alright, so this concludes this tutorial. We now have everything we need for a basic map. Feel free to look through. There's a lot of stuff in here. that you can look through, especially in the environment. As you guys can tell, I'm not the best level designer or world builder, but just go through, practice, try stuff out, and if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.